YouTube, what the crap's going on? I go into matchmaking tonight and I get a plate of mom's spaghetti. Oh man, was that night? No, okay, wait, that's my opponent today is mom's spaghetti. I'm gonna be playing as the dwarfs. I've got a Thorgrim Grudge Bearer build against Chaos, hoping that the buffs from Thorgrim and a Runesmith can help drive my cheap dwarf warriors with great weapons to use their anti-armor capability to success against a high armor Chaos faction. I've got some miners helping to support here, one unit of hammers, and I have two runesmiths, so I'm going to give this a shot. I don't know if it's really necessary against Chaos. I've got a cannon. It's going to immediately open fire on Kholek, and so are my my gyrocopters, but they're not going to do a ton of damage to him. Kholek is really fast, and he's kind of just taking off and running straight towards my army. My impact here is fairly minimal. Nice miss from my cannon there, though, that picks up a bunch of kills on these Chaos Knights. I've got a problem here, and my problem is that I've got to try and take down 4 different large units, and I don't really have enough to do that, and enough to do it very quickly. These Chaos Spawn are going to turn the infantry fight against me near immediately if I can't kill them. I do have a Thunderer that can help pull them down, but only one is all I brought to this battle because I brought the cannon. So immediately I'm kind of regretting my pick because I don't feel like I have enough anti-large capability. I feel fine, but he's got all these marauders with great weapons, which are going to be a cheap way for him to do a lot of damage to me before he brings in the more expensive Chaos Warriors. And then he's got another Chaos Knight with lances hidden back here. So I've got 5 large units to kill before they come and wreck my lines. I'm in a rough situation because of the pick I made. I can't really dedicate any more troops from the front line to guard the rear, and the Chaos player is going to do the obvious thing, and he's going to swing around. So immediately I'm already seeing that I have mispicked my army because what I've brought can't be protected, and these Chaos Spawn are going to be a very difficult pick. I don't know why I didn't remember that he could pick Chaos Spawn, but I just didn't think of it. And Kholek is always going to be unfortunate. It's kind of crappy to face him no matter who you are, honestly, because he's not super easy to kill. It takes some effort. He can be killed, but he is definitely, in my mind, the scariest Chaos Lord. I'm doing as much damage to the Chaos Spawn as I can, because I know that I'm certainly going to lose the upfront fight really quickly if I can't get rid of these guys. I'm trying to pot shot the cavalry, but because they're in motion like this, my cannons are struggling to aim in time, so it ends up being a waste. And smart move by the Chaos player just to come far around. He's got the speed, I don't have the mobility, and he's going to benefit from this greatly. I go ahead and decide to move my gyrocopters up. I'm going to try and get them in a bombing position. See the Chaos Warriors with great weapons. I didn't countercharge here either. Another huge mistake on my part. Dwarf Warriors with great weapons do not have charge defense against all, and you need to countercharge with them. And so getting myself charged like that was an idiotic mistake as well. So I parked my gyrocopters in a bombing position, and I'm going to go ahead and bomb these some of these Chaos Warriors. And I'm going to leave my gyrocopters up here to fire at the large units that are in my back lines. So I'm going to leave them in the bombing position, let my guys start firing. I've got Thorgrim here buffing my runesmiths, but you can see my dwarf warriors with great weapons just get absolutely wrecked. I'm struggling to protect the flanks, and Kholek immediately comes in to take out one of my runesmiths. I've used the Rune of Negation a little bit too late here. I should have used it right before the charge, and I could have negated most of his charge damage too. So again, as I learn to try and play the dwarfs better, you've got to remember and think about some of these things, and I'm just not so far in the battles, but as I watch these back, I can kind of learn from these lessons. So again, Rune of Negation before the charge, and I would have been able to negate 40% of all this charge damage that came, and if I would have saved a Runesmith for the back area too, I could have negated 40% of the charge incoming from all the cavalry as well. So again, that was a fail on my part. The bombs did help me get rid of the Chaos Marauders. They're not great infantry, but they're going to be backed up by good infantry now. And I'm just going to be in rough shape here. My hammers are really the only unit that's getting any damage done. I'm trying to find them here on the battlefield. I actually lost track of them a couple of times. Here they are. They've gotten a little damage done on this cavalry back here, but they haven't gotten a ton done yet. They're going to try and get rid of this Chaos Spawn, which they will. The Chaos Spawn's almost gone. My gyrocopters keep firing. Kholek just killed Thorgrim, so I'm in rough shape there. It doesn't look like the High King ability came into play either, which it must be glitched. Yeah, so the High King ability didn't come into play, which really sucks for my guys. drop the second round of bombs here from the gyrocopters, and I'm going to let them keep firing at, again, the large units in the back lines. They're wrecking me. Kholek is wrecking me. I'm going to send the hammers over to try and bring down some health off Kholek. It's still not going to be easy for him. My cannon's still firing, but still hasn't really managed to even get rid of one cavalry unit. My other runesmith is getting pounded on over here. I've got the rune of oath and steel up, but my guys are getting beaten, and I just can't pull Kholek down fast enough. My hammers are fighting him, but as you can see here, they're just really not causing a ton of damage to him. So kind of a disappointing performance there, but they also get hit in the back by these Chaos Knights, so any stunt he's going to struggle in that case. So I feel like dwarfs should do better than this against Chaos. I mentioned to you what my mistakes were here, and again, I'm trying to learn. I want to learn, first of all, how to best play the dwarfs. I still, despite my lack of ability to play these guys right at the moment, I still say that they have some inherent flaws, and I think most people agree with me on that, but I'm trying to learn all the different ways to play these guys better and analyze my mistakes. So again, the key mistakes here: Rune of Negation can be a great way to counter a lot of the damage that you're going to take on the charge, which I should have been ready on that Rune of Negation, and I also should have had my counter charges ready with my Dwarf Warriors with great weapons. I took a lot of unnecessary damage there that could have been avoided and could have been played much better. My army pick here was not real sharp, so I think that the cannon was a mistake. His cavalry and Kholek were moved too quickly for me to really do any significant damage with them. Would have been better off to just have more Thunders, who could have in turn tried to do a little more damage there. The Hammers didn't end up getting much done in this battle, so they were a significant investment and didn't get anything done. It would have been better off for me to bring more cheap units that would have served as a better meat shield and keeping the Chaos Cavalry off of my backline. So some miners in some extremely thick formation, for instance, or Dwarf Warriors, since they have a charge defense against large. Dwarf Warriors in a thick formation would have been a better backline to this because they could have used some of that bracing bonus. Thorgrim didn't get a single kill because I didn't get him into combat like I should have. Would have been better just to keep him away from Kholek, I think, and actually engage him in the infantry fight, because Thorgrim does pretty decent in some of the infantry fights, whereas whenever Kholek gets a hold of him, he's just going to hammer him into an oblivion. The runesmiths were at risk because of that as well. So again, a lot of things that I could have done better here. But again, learning, and hopefully you'll see some of this put to work as I go through future battles. In fact, I have another one against Chaos that let's go ahead and show you now. For some reason, I ended up facing Chaos like 3 times in a row. Yeah, here's another one. So let's go to this one. So I'm going to try and put a few of the lessons to learn or to work here. I still brought more hammers, which is probably questionable, but I wanted their anti-armor. And this time, some of the differences that I made was I decided I'm going to come with more Thunderers, number one. I had more Miners to help protect my back lines. And I went with the Ungrim Iron Fist this time because he dishes out more armor-piercing damage, and that kind of just makes more sense versus Chaos. I still have a Runesmith to support my center line of Dwarf Warriors with great weapons. And this time I'm determined to get better charges and just a better overall performance. Also, to help out my Dwarf Warriors, I brought a Thane with a healing potion on each flank. And the idea of this is that I'm going to help absorb some of the enemy charge and attacks with the Thane so that my guys will more convincingly be able to win their battles. So again, lots of miners, so now I have protection in my back lines. Hammers can help tear down cavalry units or monsters with their extra damage. That was the idea, at least. And then Thunderers can also help tear down monsters, and then I just won't fool with the cannon. And so my opponent here, surprisingly, I was kind of expecting some Chaos Knights, a Hell Cannon or something. He didn't bring any of those, which I think was a mistake. He also has 2 Halberd units, which against the Dwarfs is also a massive mistake. They don't have any large units. To their credit, the Halberd units do have good anti-armor, so they still won't be entirely useless, but probably could have been a better pick. He's gone with Archaon here, too, which is interesting to bring a wizard against a faction that has a magic resistance. Kholek, or if you are going to bring a wizard, bring the Everwatcher. So I am going to get all my counter charges properly this time. So I bring in Ungrim and everything else, so I'm going to slam into all the Chaos Infantry. And the Giant starts making his way to my flank. I'm going to pin him down with Miners, and I'm going to start hammering him with the Thunderers. I'm going to bring my Hammers to fill this gap right here because there's some Chaos with great weapons, or chosen with great weapons, who are going to be more than a match for my Hammers. That's going to be a bad scenario. Here my Miners with blasting charges do a little bit of damage to the Halberds, and they're going to hold them up. And since my opponent failed to bring cavalry, this frees up all of my reserves to be engaged as I see fit. And in the mainline fight, with the help of Ungrim and the Runesmith's buffs, which I again still failed to drop the Rune of Negation on the charge, I definitely should have. I'm still going to have to work on that. But I did better. I got my counter charges, and against Chaos Warriors, my Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, supported by their heroes, are going to be doing extremely well. The Giant is a mispick here. Cavalry would have been better versus the Dwarfs. Even one unit of Cavalry would have been better. Or a unit of Dragon Ogre. Something would have been better than the Giant, who is slow and extremely vulnerable to missiles, which helps the Dwarfs a lot. So you can see that this guy got wrecked. The Flame Storm popping up here by Archaon, and it actually sits right on top of my infantry for a good while, but again, you can see the magic resistance to the Dwarfs. Even though this thing's sitting right on top of me, it caused insignificant damage to miners. It's just not very good. I think Archaon would have been better off trying to use like Cascading Fire Cloak and stuff like that. And head-to-head, Archaon's a decent melee hero for a wizard, but he's not going to be a real good matchup against Ungrim. Ungrim's going to get some pretty serious work done here against him, and he's going to rout Archaon. The Giant has dropped. The Chaos with the Chosen with great weapons wrecked my Hammerers. Just straight wrecked them. I only got like 17 kills, and I got a charge too. These guys have a significant charge bonus of their own. Very, very good infantry. Very expensive, but very good. So I've got them held up with miners, and I'm going to bring back some support from the front line where I've now won the battle. So the Chaos player has lost the battle up front. Archaon's getting shot by Thunderers, and he will be driven off or killed. And then my Thane is able to come over and help tank out the Chaos with great weapons. And just due to the overwhelming odds, the Chaos Warriors are going to rout. So did I make some mistakes here? Yes, I still did. I still didn't use my Rune of Negation properly coming off the charge in the center of my line, which would have helped my guys win that fight sooner and more substantially. I still, I mean, it's probably questionable, some of my picks here, depending on what Chaos would have brought. I feel pretty good about it in the sense that if I could have slowed down Chaos Cavalry with my miners and then used Hammerers to finish the job, I still feel pretty good about that. Again, had Kholek or the Everchosen or someone like that been brought to the battle, I still had the Thunderers to help against that. If there had been a flying unit, the Hammerers were also meant for that kind of thing. The Thunderers do some damage, and if the flying unit comes down, then the Hammerers pin them down and do a ton of damage. What do you all think? Would I have been better off? So the reason why I brought the Hammers rather than Slayers is because Slayers are cheaper, and they do have anti-large, but they also don't really have good armor well, I don't know about armor piercing. They have the anti-large, but they're not good against infantry, and Chaos is an infantry-focused faction for the most part. And if I bring Slayers, they're only going to be good against monsters or cavalry. Whereas if I bring the Hammers, they're not ideal against monsters or cavalry, but they can do a lot of damage to them, and they can do good against infantry. So tell me what you think. If you were going to be the Dwarf player, would you make a similar pick to that, or would you do something different? Be curious to hear what you have to say. You've also got the option of going with something like Longbeards with great weapons, which aren't near as strong as Hammerers, but they're cheaper. So I don't know. Be curious to hear what you all think. Appreciate Ninja Power there for the fun game. Appreciate you, my awesome viewer, for watching this. I enjoy making this content for you a great deal. If you want to help support me, watching it is the best thing to do. If you like the video, liking it helps me, and subscribing helps a lot too. All those things help me in terms of success on YouTube, and definitely helps propel me along. I appreciate each and every one of you. Love the feedback that you guys are giving me. Hope you're enjoying this beard-ripped, stunty week of dwarf action here. I'm enjoying it. It's teaching me a lot, and it's been kind of fun analyzing some of these battles. Look forward to seeing the comments that you all have. Beard Rip Stunty, otherwise known as the HeirofCarthage, signing out right after I remind you that I appreciate MSI having sponsored this build. And yeah, that's about it. I'll see you next time.